Hello, in this demonstration I'm going to be showing you some of the modules within ArtCAM Express. I'm going to be showing you the font creator, quite a niche module. If you ever need to edit or to create your own fonts, then this is quite a useful tool. I'm also going to show you the advanced 2D machining. And what I'm going to be doing today is creating this quite basic sign called Daddy Cools. Now if you take a look at the text, the D and the A have both been edited using the font creator. Now this is quite useful if, let's say for instance, on this piece I've got 3 separate D's and I would have to edit each one of these D's separately. But what I'm going to do is use the font creator to edit one of these, and then every time that I use this D in the future it will be the edited version. Right, so what I'm going to do first of all is to go to File and Close. I'm not going to save the changes. And if you take a look on the right hand side of the screen, you can see the installed modules that I have are the font creator and the advanced 2D machining module. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is to install a font that I've downloaded from off the internet. Just a basic TrueType font. To show you how you can do this, so I'll open up this folder here, and I'm going to double click on this font Leroy Brown. So if I double click on that, it gives me a preview of the font, and I can just click here to install this font. Now it's just telling me that I already have the font installed in my fonts folder. I'm just going to replace that, and then I can close that and minimize the folder. So now this font is installed, it will show up within the font creator, and that's located here under this button on the left hand side. So this opens up the ArtCAM font creator. I'll just maximize this so you can see, and if I click here, this gives me a list of fonts that are installed on my system. So here you can see all of the Windows fonts that are installed. So if I come down to the font that I just installed, which was this one, font Leroy Brown, just select that, and then I can click create, and that gives me the full character set of this particular font. So what I can do is zoom in, and you can see all of the characters for this font. Now the 2 characters that I want to edit are the D and the A. So first of all, just going to click on D, and it opens it up in its own window. Now this is available now to edit. So if I move over on this tab here to the assistant, and I'm just going to zoom in on the D, and I'm just going to select the inner portion of the D, and I'm going to select node editing. I'm just going to right click here, and I'm going to select cut vector, right click, cut vector, and I'm just going to delete that portion there. I'm going to node edit again, and instead of right clicking, I'm just going to press C, which is the shortcut for this, so it just cuts the vector, and I'm just going to do the same here, let's say around about there, and also there. Now I'm just going to select the portions that I want to delete, like so. Now all that I need to do is to join these portions up. So I'll create polyline, snap to the end points, press space on the keyboard, which will allow me to create another polyline, press space again. When I'm happy with that, if I select the whole of the D, and I'm going to join the vectors. So if I click join and then close, if I select the inner portion of the D, you can see I get this green box here, which just tells me that I have a closed shape. Again, green box telling me I have a closed shape. So once I'm happy with that, I can click done, and it takes me back to the character set. Now the A is a little bit more complicated, but exactly the same principle. So what I'm going to do is to go over to the assistant, go into node editing. I'll just do this without zooming in so you can see, and I'm going to cut this here, cut that there, let's do a cut there, cut there, cut there, cut there, again there, 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 and finally one there. Now I can start deleting these pieces like so, and then just join them up using the polyline tool. Now I'm just doing this quite rough, just doing a straight line here, and then just finish this here. So once I'm happy with that, I can either draw a box round or just press Ctrl A to select all the vectors and then join the vectors up. Again, just click on it and I can see that it's got a green box which tells me that it's a closed shape, and then I can select done. Will take me back to the original character set. Now when I'm happy with this and I've finished editing my font, if I go up to File and then Save Font, this will take me to the ArtCAM font directory, and I'm just going to keep the default name, which is Font Leroy Brown, and click Save. Now I can close the font creator and I'm back into my ArtCAM Express. So now I'm going to create a basic 2D sign using this text that I've just created or just edited, and I'm going to show you the advanced 2D machining. So if I create a new model, this is going to be 600 by 300 and the thickness, let's say 25mm. So there you can see it's opened up a new sheet at the specified sizes. So what I'm going to do first of all is to create a rectangle, and I'm going to give this a width of 500 and a height of 200. Now if I want to create some corner radii, I could select that here, or I could select one of these pointers in the corner and just bring them in. So I'm going to bring that down to around about 25mm, and I'm going to invert the corners. When I'm happy with that, let's click Create and then just centre that in the model. Now I'm going to create a circle which is 200mm. Again, I'm going to centre that, and I'm just going to move this up by pressing the arrow keys on the keyboard just until it gets above the sheet. So let's say around about there. Now what I'm going to do is trim this off so it's all one piece. I'm going to do that by using the Trim Vectors tool, and I'm going to select Auto Join, which is here, which will automatically join the vectors up once I've trimmed them off. So let's trim these vectors off here, and then finally in the centre here. Now if I exit that tool and select this vector, you can see it's all one vector now, and it's a closed vector. Now what I'm going to do is to offset this vector. So if I select here to offset vectors, and I'm going to offset this by 5mm inwards. Select the vector and click Offset. Now with this offset still selected, I'm going to offset that again. So there you can see I've created this nice border. Now what I'm going to do is to create my text using the font that I've just edited. So if I select Create Vector Text, This will open up all of the fonts within my Windows folder. And if I click on the drop down, you can see all of the fonts within my Windows folder. And you can see the font Leroy Brown that we have in there. Now this is the original font because it's in my Windows folder, so this is unedited. So if I come up to the top, if you already have ArtCAM or ArtCAM Express, you may be wondering what these fonts at the top are with the A next to them. These are all fonts that have been edited or created within the font creator. So here you can see I have a font Leroy Brown. So this is the edited version that I've just amended. So if I select that, and I'm going to set a size, let's say 70mm high, and I'm just going to select on the page, and I'm going to type in Daddy Calls. Now you can see that the D, each time it's my new edited version. So it would take a while to edit 3 of these rather than editing the one. So if I was going to keep on using this font, it would be worthwhile to edit this font. Then it would save me having to edit this every time that I used it. So I'm going to click Done now, and I'm going to center that in the sheet. I'm going to create some more text now, and I'm going to use this Arno Pro display text here, and let's do this about 15mm high, and I'm going to call this Members Club, like so, and then click Done. Now what I want to do is to wrap this text around this bottom arc here. So I'm going to shift select the bottom arc, and then underneath this menu here, this flyout menu, I have wrap text around a curve. So if I select that, you can see I can move this text around the curve. Now as you can see, this is on the opposite side to what I actually want, so let's click to put the text on the opposite side. So there you can see it's on the right side. I'm going to move this up, so just click the arrow. Let's move this up until I'm happy. Let's say around about 10mm high. Now I can move this around. Let's just zoom in so you can see. And I can also change the text spacing if I wanted to, like so. I can move single words if I wanted to, like so, or single letters. So let's say move this club round like so, and then click OK. So now that I'm happy with that, I can start machining this. Now everything that you've just seen as regards to designing this sign was just done using the basic ArtCAM Express. I've not used any advanced 2D machining yet, so this is all going to come on the next part here. So if I select all of this, let's just center that within the model. I'm going to go to Toolpaths, and what I'm going to do is select the inside vector here, and I'm going to create an area clearance. So if I create an area clearance, just open up this dialog box so you can see. I'm going to add a finished depth of 5mm, and this is going to be using the selected vectors, and I'm going to add a tool. I'm going to add a 12mm end mill, and if you've just got the basic ArtCAM Express, what would happen now is the add button would be greyed out, so you wouldn't be able to add another tool. What you can do with advanced 2D machining is add another tool, which will then go in wherever the 12mm end mill couldn't get. So if you got the radius on the corner, the 6mm would get in a little bit further, so it creates leftover machining. You can change all your speeds and feeds if you like. You can also change the strategy from raster, so it's going in 90 degrees, to offset, so it offsets the cutter path as it goes outwards. And what I'm going to do is just click calculate now because I have my material already set up, and I'll just close that. So now you can see the tool paths. So here you can see the 12mm tool path, and then where the 12mm doesn't get in, you can see the 6mm tool path. Now this is quite useful because if you didn't have this, then what you would need to do is create two area clearances, and then just to get in these little bits here, you'd have to do the whole piece again. So let's just turn off that toolpath preview by clicking here. You can open up the tree just so you can see what toolpaths we have, and I'm going to create another area clearance toolpath now, and this time it's going to be on the Daddy Calls text. Now making sure that the start depth is 5 because we've already cut all of the surface of that away down to 5mm, and the finished depth is going to be 7.5, so it's 2.5mm deep. I'm going to add some tools for this, so let's add, let's say, a 6mm end mill, a 3mm end mill, and let's go down to a 1.5mm end mill. And then I'm just going to calculate this. So if I zoom in, for instance, on the D, you can see here it's the 6mm end mill. It couldn't get in all of the way, so then we go to the 3mm end mill, which doesn't go over the whole part, it just goes in the areas where the 6mm couldn't get, and then finally the same with the 1.5mm end mill. So it's machined all of the inlay out for me. So I'll just turn off that area clearance also, and then what I'm going to do is to just create some VBIT carving on the members club here. So this is just basic ArtCAM Express. Start depth again is going to be 5mm because all of the material is being taken out. I'm going to select a carving tool. Let's select this small VBIT that I have. Click select. If I click here for refresh, it will tell me the maximum depth of the cut. And I'm just going to click calculate now. So that's created the VBIT carving. Now what I want to do is create some more VBIT carving, but this time I want this to go around this groove here. Now the way that I do that is not by using VBIT carving, because that would actually create a VBIT carving on the inside of this vector. The way that I'm going to do this is by using a create profile toolpath. So again, this is just basic ArtCAM Express, this is not including the modules, and I'm going to just click to profile along selected vectors rather than the outside or the inside. And then I'm going to enter a finished depth. So let's do this, let's say 2mm deep. The profiling tool, I'll use the same 6mm small VBIT, and then I'm going to click calculate now. I can then turn that off, and finally I'm going to cut the part out. Now this is going to be using some of the advanced 2D machining features. So if I go to create profile toolpath, I'm going to go along the outside, I'm going to go to the finished depth, I'm going to select my profiling tool. I'll just use the largest one that I have, a 12mm end mill, and what I can do here is add a lead in or lead out move. So if I click tick to do that, I can specify the distance, so let's say 50mm so you can see this. I can overcut this if I wanted to. I could either have a linear angle in and angle out. I can set these angles to whatever I like. Just going to leave those at 45 degrees, and I can also, if I wanted to, do a circular arc so it spirals into it, and I could also add ramping moves if I wish, so the tool ramps down into the material instead of plunging straight into the material. Now I can do this as a spiral, a zigzag or a smooth. Just going to use a zigzag, just using the default values. So here you can see you can set the angle, the length, or also the start height for this. Just going to use the default values for that and select calculate now. So if you take a look at the top, you can see I've got this V here. This is the lead in, goes round and then leads out. So finally what I'm going to do is open up the profile, and I want to add some bridges onto this so it holds the material in place on my bed. So if I select the 12mm end mill, and here we have profile options. So if I select profile options, this allows me to create bridges. So I'm going to create 4 bridges, and let's give them a bridge length of 10mm. The thickness is going to be 3mm. I can create 3D bridges or 2D. The 3D bridge is where the tool will come out of the material at an angle rather than just coming straight out. So these 3D bridges are a lot easier to break off. So if I select create bridges, you can see it's created 4 bridges for me. Now if I wanted to move these, I could just select them and move them wherever I wanted to. I can also adjust the spacing here. I could also delete these just by pressing D on the keyboard and then just A to add a new bridge wherever I liked. So once I'm happy with those, just click on the cross and it leaves the bridges in place. So now that this is finished, all I need to do is to simulate this. So if I right click on the area clearance and simulate the toolpath, you can see that that's the first area clearance, and I'll simulate the second one, the daddy cools. So you can see it's getting right into there using the 1.5mm tool. Simulate the V-bit carving, simulate the groove for the V-bit, and then finally cutting the part out. Now if you take a look at a plan view of this, you can see the lead in goes round, the lead out of the material. We've also got these 3D bridges, so it's holding the part in the material. Now if I wanted to save this to send to my machine, just select toolpaths and then save toolpaths. If I have a multi-tool machine, here you can see all of the tools that are being used. Just make sure that I've got the tool number set up and then use the correct post to send to my machine. If I didn't have a tool changer, just move them all to the left hand side. I'm just going to do the first area clearance for this. I can just drag and drop that onto the right hand side. Just going to save this onto my desktop, call it number 1. Select the post from the list. Now you can see we've got lots and lots of posts. That are well over 200 posts within here, and I'm going to use, let's say, a Mac free post here. Save that onto my desktop, go to my desktop, and here you can see I have the file ready to be sent to my machine. So thank you for listening and thank you for your time. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.